Anyone have an agenda?
Get older.
No.
Someday she says, "Can you
Where's the
That's in
agenda?
your mailbox.
Oh, I got it. It's the same one?
Hi, John.
Hey, John.
You have one?
Yeah.
All right, well, we will.
Pull the sword in and get it going.
Place to go, things to do.
Okay, let's
This needs to.
come to order. Patrick is not coming tonight. Got a birthday. Child's birthday. So,
Oh, that gets us off?
let's.
Might have some more children.
Let's see, which is this first budget transfer is what? Okay, I can't tell from these numbers what's in the packet.
So that's the leases right there.
Okay, so let's go, come to order now. First item is a request from the city clerk for budget transfer for the hire mechanical contractor for the HVAC system at City Hall. Alan, you want to? Alan or Louise?
I'll sit here since
The
it's
tea.
my
Okay.
budget, but Alan is really gonna, he has many years of experience.
$22,750.
Hey Doug, I don't have my packet. I gotta go see, it
Oh, okay.
must be in my mailbox.
All right.
Do you want mine? Just take mine. Take mine and I'll go get yours after.
Oh, that's where it is. Great.
Alrighty, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
You can have that back.
All set?
The genesis of this is that for many years, we haven't had a maintenance contract to take care of the HVAC in the building. And we've been dealing with a company and just calling them on an as-needed basis, which has cost quite a bit of money over the years. Just we got the printout from the comptroller, and in 2018 and 2019, we've spent approximately $43,000 for this company, not just for City Hall, but the police department uses the same company.
But they have a maintenance agreement with
They have a
them.
maintenance agreement with them, but you know, I think there are other costs associated with that may be outside of the maintenance agreement. But for City Hall, anyway, we haven't had a maintenance agreement. And there's been a lot of repeat calls for the same issue. They come back, issue's not taken care of. And so we thought, and we've been discussing it for quite some time, that we really should get a maintenance agreement in place. And in order to do that, we really needed an evaluation of what the HVAC system, the current state of it. We've been in the building for 20 years now, and I've been here the whole 20 years, and the HVAC system has not really worked correctly for that entire time.
It's actually unusual to go a week without calling this company.
Right.
All year round. If it's not the air, it's the heat. So there's constantly a problem.
So we had some internal meetings with John and Elisa and Kyle also, just because a lot of it is automated through a computer system, so we've all been involved. And we decided that the best way to go, because we're not mechanical engineers here, our office, we're civil engineers with a general knowledge of things, not mechanical engineers, is to hire a consultant to do a full evaluation of the building system and see what the current state is, and in that way come up with a scope of services that we can put out to bid to hire a mechanical contractor that we could enter into a service agreement with. So that's the money that we're asking for, that Elise is asking for, is to hire that contractor and to do a comprehensive evaluation, which I think was included in the packet.
Yeah.
Do you have any expectation after that, what work might be involved, any?
Yeah, well, they're going to put...
What's the other shoe on this?
That they're going to put together the scope of services that will be part of a public bid. And that public bid will go out for a mechanical contractor that we can hire, and we'll make up a maintenance agreement with them, enter into a maintenance agreement, and then it'll have everything that we need in it that we don't feel we're getting now from the company that we have been using. And
We're also hoping that the new company will be local. This company that we're dealing with is in Albany, so we're paying for travel time, an hour each way, every single time they come. And it really has added up.
Tony?
I'm trying to just figure out. So we knew we had these problems with the HV. This is the central air, I'm assuming, right? The AC?
It's air and heat.
yes,
And we've never had a contract with anyone. We've never had a contract. So every time something broke down, we just called the same company, said, can you come and fix it?
initially we had one with Train. They were the contractors who, when the building was rehabbed, and then Train, I don't even recall why Train left. Their prices became exorbitant, and we just never moved on it again. And it became a kind of less of a priority. It worked sometime, we had to call them, and it just, one of those things that the can just kept being kicked down the road.
So this 22,000,
Yes.
0.7, is this to have someone come in? Who's gonna come in and do this work? A consultant?
Yes, yeah, we
Now we're
already,
gonna have a consultant that's gonna come through this building
Right.
and determine what's wrong with, in regard to just the HVAC or everything in this building.
the HVAC system, the air conditioning, the heating, ventilation.
And we know this is the price they said that consultant said it would cost just for them to come in and do this survey.
Yeah, we put a request out for quotes, price quotes, and this company wasn't the lowest, they were in the middle, but they offered the widest, the best scope of services.
Alrighty, so then after this is done, then we're gonna put an RFP for someone to say, from someone to bid on this work, whatever they come back and say needs to be done, like a
Right.
contractor.
Right, a mechanical contractor.
That'd be a bid, right?
That's the other shoe on it.
And we don't know what that price is gonna be.
Well, we normally have money in our building maintenance. That's what we've been paying this company out of. But it seems like they're coming and doing the same things over and over, or not really doing them. And we spend a tremendous amount of time looking through the bills, and Alan is spending a lot of time, because it's really, I don't know exactly what they're doing, but he's spending a lot of time making sure what they say they're doing, they're actually doing.
Right, and the thing is, we don't know either. It's outside of our purview, the building mechanical system. And just as a comparison, the police department has a service contract with this same company, but just for a sense of scale, they pay about $10,000 a year for the maintenance agreement with this company. We're going to hopefully cast the net a little wider and see, as Elisa said, maybe a local company.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah. So I'm going to presume all this time we've had this system, despite the reoccurring problems, we've never really had anybody come in and do an analysis of the
Right.
whole system.
Correct.
So this will include that, right?
Yes.
Just to reiterate, and then also to kind of dictate the terms of a service contract also.
Right.
All right. I mean, I like the idea of being, a little proactive with the system instead of
Right.
waiting for things to break, see if we can fix the whole system.
Right. One of the
God
things they're
forbid
going
we
to
need a
do
whole
is
new
called
system.
retro commissioning, which they will look at what the performance of the HVAC system was when the building was rehabbed, when all of it was put in, and to see how that compares with what's happening now. And then based on that, they'll be able to determine what portions of the system need upgrade or replacement, and how that the mechanical contractor that we hire, what they'll have to do in order to make this all work the way it's supposed to.
Okay, I mean, I like the idea, and I got to admit, when I first looked at it, I thought it was $275,000, so I feel a lot better about that.
You know, and like I said, Alan spends a tremendous amount of time right now just trying to maintain heat or air in here, and so does Kyle. You know, we're constantly, one part of the building will be freezing and the other part is stifling. So there's a lot of time being spent from departments that really shouldn't be doing this.
Right. And actually, no one should be doing it. It should be functioning on its own. It's an automated system that should be adjusting itself. If you know, in the fall when it's starting to get cold, we get a nice warm day, it should balance out so we're not having heat blasting when it's 65 degrees out. But somehow, you know, it hasn't been working correctly, and that's what the evaluation will show.
Okay.
Have we done any business with this company before? Are you familiar with them at all? Just their proposal?
Yes, the consultant that we've hired, or that we will hire, we've dealt with them for a lot of other contracts. We have some ongoing projects that they're consulting for, some bigger construction and planning projects in the city. So they have a great reputation. We have a good working relationship with them, and they have a whole mechanical engineering department that is devoted to this sort of work.
Right. All right.
Brendan?
So here you're saying you'll be spending a lot of time, that you've been spending a lot of time on these issues. I'm wondering, do you have any ballpark figure? What's the average amount of money that we're spending on all of these visits from this company?
Yes, well, it's in excess of $12,000 that we've been able to track that down. We tried to get some information on which departments have been spending, because the total for this company for this year so far is about over $42,000. And City Hall, we use them, the police department uses them, and it's unclear at the moment. We asked for the information, we just couldn't get it before the meeting, of what other departments may be utilizing this company. I'm not quite sure of that.
It's mainly this building and the police department.
So for 2018, it was 43,700, and for this year so far, it's 42,456. So that.
And so a likely cost then for whoever we would get to manage the system would be much lower than that?
Yes, just again, the sense of scale, for the police department pays about 10 grand for their maintenance agreement, so it would be on that order.
Okay.
The systems are similar.
To some degree, we would make the $27,000 back in a couple of years,
Yes,
if not 1 year.
Well, there would still be repair costs, right? So the maintenance agreement would include regular servicing, but then there would also be repairs as needed. But the thought process being is that if the system is regularly maintained and better maintained, it will reduce repair costs going forward.
Right. It just, to me, it sounds a little unusual to be hiring a consultant to hire a manager. So I hear what you're saying. Just in my mind, we would go out and hire the manager, but you're saying you need a consultant to do a much deeper analysis.
right. And to get the scope of services that we want for this maintenance agreement, we've looked at some others that the county has, for example, and they have the duties spelled out very precisely of what they want the mechanical contractor to do. And we really can't do that until we find out if the problems we've been experiencing on the automated logic, the computer system, is that a mechanical issue? Is it with the software? We just don't even know. And the company that we've been using, it hasn't been very good in helping us figure that out.
Okay.
And so we think we need to move beyond just calling them on an as-needed basis and have this, again, have the system evaluated to see what the current state is. Because it's been done in little pieces without looking at the system holistically. I think that's what, at this point, we need to do.
Alrighty.
So this money is probably gonna be coming back for contingency then too, after the RFP, then we're gonna have to.
There should be some savings in the budget.
Okay.
Right, so I mean, you know, where in the past, within the city clerk's budget, you just had repairs, right? They were just calling, these things were breaking, they were calling for repairs. So now in lieu of that, you're gonna have regular servicing, and on top of servicing, you will have some repairs. With the thought process being that over time, the repairs should come down a little bit, and the system will be better maintained, with the hope that in the long run, the system will last longer, will function better. But once again, this consultant, as part of this process, could identify that there's some capital improvements that really should be done. So that's like a separate bucket put over to the side. But once again, as Alan said, you know, the specs on this are pretty complicated. You know, we had talked originally about, rather than, you know, doing a consultant of, you know, can we just do out and do a bid for the work, just the bid for the HVAC work, but what do you put in that? We need to know exactly what work has to be done. And that's the issue, where the consultant's gonna come and tell us exactly, you know, how is the system functioning now, what their analysis is, what work they feel needs to be done. So it's pretty involved.
And it is really, this retro commissioning too will evaluate the whole system, as John said, to see if there's anything that has been here for 20 years that may need to be replaced. We have no idea if that's the case, but you know, things wear out, and the system has been operating, you know, for all this time, and other than just routine maintenance, there may be some larger costs, but it'd be good to know that up front so we can plan for the future.
And I'd like to think if we're gonna get a service contract, we should be able to get a better deal on the work being performed.
Right, and there may be an economy of scale if we include the police department after we get them on board, and we can see there might very well be a cost savings to the city in total.
All right, you renewed for 6 months, right? Because you
Correct.
wanted to see what was going on with this building, so we might be able to partner and save both departments money.
Committee report.
Didn't I put one in there?
Committee report?
I don't
It's
see
not in our
it.
packets.
Is this it?
We have it.
Oh,
All right.
I put one together.
okay. Oh,
Bill
thank
for
you.
city clerk, request approval of 2019 budgetary transfer totaling $22,750 to fund city hall HVAC consultant per attached. So that would be all this attached. All right? Forgot to state, but.
I'll make a motion, Doug.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, carried. Okay, Alan, while you go here, why don't we jump down to the old business, so we don't have to keep you here all night.
Thank you.
This is the resolution that was tabled at the last council meeting regarding Westbrook Lane and Hurley Avenue sewer project. Patrick raised the issue whether there could be some consolidation of the project.
That's the original letter.
Where is this at? Which one is this?
It's on old.
Yeah, this is the one that John just signed today.
It's not in the
Just
back.
make copies of it for everybody to.
I'm gonna put that in the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna give that to us.
Okay,
This involves the storm sewer projects that one on Hurley Avenue to alleviate the flooding that happens right out in front of the Elks Club. Also, the flooding issue down in the plaza. And we combined both of them, figuring that for the bids, if it was, rather than two small projects, now it's a kind of a medium to large size project, we might get better pricing, better bids. So we combined those two projects, and I guess there was some question, at least on the Westbrook Lane, which is the road that goes down to the plaza, if some of that drainage couldn't be redirected out towards where the new roundabout is going to be, where Chandler Drive comes in. And I think that was Alderman O'Reilly's concern. He spoke with John Schulteis this morning, and John explained the reasoning that first of all, it would be several thousand feet away to redirect that drainage. And the other issue is the elevation, where this new drainage system is much lower, probably 30 feet lower, and we couldn't run it backward uphill.
Without a pump house, right?
Yeah, and this way it's by gravity. There's already a partial system there. We have done improvements under Westbrook Lane out to a certain spot in that wooded area behind the lumber yard of Herzog's.
Right.
And we're going to continue that through the lumber yard out to the parking lot, and then there's a portion of the drainage system through the parking lot that the city has taken over and maintained, and that goes out to the flood control project and out discharges into the Esopus Creek.
And that goes all the way out to the Elks Club?
Two separate projects.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say,
Yes, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear about that. The other project at Hurley Avenue, right about at Quarry Street, there's an undersized pipe that runs out through between the Elks property and the adjacent house. Pipe was put in, maybe 80 years ago. It goes through the backyard. There's a manhole in the yard of the house there. It's an undersized pipe. We actually the one house next door built an addition over part of the pipe, which is not really the problem. It's not a great situation, but that's not really the problem. The problem is it's an undersized pipe. It's a large drainage area. We're going to put in a larger pipe and help the flooding there. We've seen for that project, besides several claims that the homeowner has put in against to the city for damage to their property, when we have a sudden downpour, that intersection of Quarry Street and Hurley floods. Kids walking to school have to walk out in the road to get around the flooded area. So we've had some problems getting the easements from the adjacent property owners to the pipe, but we finally have that all straightened out. So,
Right, but the thing we were talking about was this one, the Westbrook Avenue one.
correct.
So
Westbrook Lane.
because what Alderman O'Reilly was getting at was that they're going to be excavating this whole area here for the I-587 roundabout.
Right.
Why not tie that in? So the crucial thing you're saying is the elevation,
Right.
right? So you'd have to pump the water back up the hill. But then also, isn't this a different system here? Because this is stormwater runoff, right? That you're
Right.
dealing with over here.
Yep.
And this is the sewer system.
Well, there is some stormwater
There is
involved in that
Uh-huh.
project too.
Okay.
But it really, this is kind of a dead-end system. It starts
When you
behind
say
the Governor
this-
Clinton Hotel.
The one you're talking
The-
about is the one here or the one at Westbrook?
The one at Westbrook.
Okay.
And the part of that storm sewer system also goes underneath one of the buildings as you go down Westbrook Lane. Dr. Habib has his office on the corner, and then there's some other buildings. The storm sewer system goes actually under that one building and then under the road. That's been replaced. We put that in about 15 years ago.
Okay.
And then Public Works replaced a section of the drainage from that would be the kind of the northwesterly side of Westbrook out to a certain point in that wooded area, and then from there on, the pipe has failed, goes through the lumber yard, so we're going to reroute that so it's easier to maintain and upsize the pipe too, to take care of all the...
So the question really came up during the caucus was the cost, where it might be less expensive if we hooked into this, the roundabout property. But from what you're saying here, it's not going to be.
Right.
So that's the bottom line, was it's going to be more cost effective to do it this way than any other way that might be feasible.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really a more feasible way.
Okay.
The other...
Okay, so I think we'll just bring that resolution back next month.
I don't think we have to do anything more, right? Do we have to bring it up again? Or was tabled, right?
It was tabled, so we could just bring it back at
Let's
caucus.
bring it back in caucus,
Okay,
okay?
so do we need a
Okay.
new committee report for...
I don't think we do. We already have a committee report.
He wrote a new committee report.
Didn't we already do this?
We have one, right?
Originally did, and then it got sent back,
Got
right?
sent back.
This one got sent back?
No, that's the new one that Alan just gave.
Do we need to?
Okay, so this is the one we want to bring forward. This is the one that was sent back.
No.
No. We voted on one, it's sent back. Alan just wrote that one up today.
It's the same project.
But it should say the same thing, right? It's the same
Yeah.
resolution.
Yeah, we just didn't know if you needed a new one, or that could
Go ahead and
simply
vote it out
be
again.
brought back.
Vote it out again. Just vote it out again. He has
Vote it out again.
Motion.
All right,
Second.
You gotta read it.
so we'll bring this,
Aye.
we'll vote on this and then bring this one forward. The
Correct.
other one that
Yes.
got sent back is
Yeah.
scheduled.
Right.
Okay. Engineering, please increase authorized borrowing from $265,000 to $435,000 and change the project name to Westbrook Lane and Hurley Avenue Storm Sewer. Yesterday, financial impact is the difference between the two numbers, $170,000. Your motion?
Motion.
Second.
Wait a minute.
Second. You got 4 or 5.
Motion.
Yeah. Second, Alderman Schott. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan.
Let's
Thank you, Alan.
go,
And for everything.
Lisa, you have a budgetary transfer to balance the budget.
Yeah, do you want me to go last since I'm here to the end no matter what?
Hmm?
Do you want me to go last so you can get
She's here.
everything done?
So the rest of them, she's here anyway, videotaping.
I'm here till the end no matter what.
No, this is the one for City Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's here until the end, so she
I
was
can go,
gonna do
I
you.
can go.
Oh, well, I thought this was quick, so,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, and it's the next one in line here.
It's all in and out. I mean, it's all there's no financial impact of this if you want to pass it through, right?
Right. It's just to balance the budget, my
Okay.
budget.
Good committee report.
Yeah.
Controller for City Clerk requests approval of 2019 budgetary transfer totaling $36,706 per attached. Okay, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's see, Brenda's is a rather quick one, right? Before we go to Cooper Lake.
Yep. So it's,
Where is that?
towards the
There it is, we'll go to Office of Economic and Community Development, Brenda, to transfer tell us about it.
$7,500 from New York State grants revenue to my consultant's line to pay for a report, a plan that was conducted by Home Strategic in partnership with REPCO. REPCO did their community impact measures report, and Home Strategic did an analysis of the cultural assets in Midtown to inform future planning. So it's a Hudson River Valley Greenway grant reimbursing a consultant's invoice.
Hudson Valley.
Hudson River Valley Greenway. There should be a committee report attached to my communications.
There is one. So transfer of the New York State grant,
Yep, from the revenue line to the consultant's
To
line so we can pay the
consultant,
invoice.
no financial impact.
That's correct. Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brenna.
Why? Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's not just my, sorry.
No. It should be.
Okay, one of them to the chief.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chief? Yep. You want to go on the transfer for contingency for the replacement of the rooftop heat exchanger for the city court?
Yes.
And this is coming $15,000. What tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a, so there's two rooftop units that were installed back during the renovations in 2000, 2001. One of them is for the court side and has essentially come end of life in need of replacement. As discussed before, the HVAC systems are always in use, whether it's in the summer or spring. We have had ours upgraded a couple of years ago to basically become automated, but we are coming across a couple of problems, and this unit is one of them. The next one coming down the pike that we're aware of, that the seals and the valves that turn the hydronic system on back and forth. So we'll have to see how that goes. They're going to try to repair them first, but there may be replacements. But this unit, certainly our obligation is to provide all the space that the court needs and make sure that it's heated and cooled properly. And
So this is the court side?
this is the court side, yeah.
Jay, what's your timeline for getting the work done, or what's required?
As soon as possible. I mean, once we get the funding approved, then we're going to cut the purchase order on it.
I'm thinking we should make it a 2020 budget modification. Only that because it'll be approved at the January meeting, and you get the purchase order, the work will be done in 20, right? Right, so, I mean, it's not gonna affect anything.
So we need to vote.
So you're saying don't vote on this? Or?
No, you can vote, I think we just change the language to 2020.
Okay.
Just because it'll be voted on at the January council meeting.
Correct.
It'll be too late to do a 2019 purchase order.
Okay.
Just make it a
So
2020
change
purchase
the
order.
2020 budget.
Yes, please.
Still leave it as the date that it was done, November
Okay,
2019.
so what if we don't do this?
We could try to leave the doors open, and try to get some air from our side to their side, but
The people at court?
the court has to get what they get. Yeah. We'll have to somehow take hours off the roof and move it over to their side.
Okay, so this figures you can handle this, right? All right. Budget transfer for the 2020 budget. This is a request to transfer from contingency to our other equipment account to fund replacement of a rooftop heat exchanger for the city court. So is this a not to exceed, or is this for bid, or?
Yeah, we've already got quotes on it, yeah.
Huh?
We already had a quote on it, on the replacement.
Okay.
It's just under 15, 14,893 or something it is. Yeah.
And you said that this particular exchange is gone, it's done. No, this part of it's done. This rooftop heat exchanger,
Yes.
you said,
It's done, beyond repair, yeah. End of life.
Okay. Is there a motion on this?
Motion.
Second. Only 18 years?
18.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
and you saying your side is still good?
We had ours changed over once before, some components, but I imagine it's going to be short-lived. We did have everything revamped a while back. There's some parts that they left behind,
Paperwork with it, you know?
but we have had a pretty good service contract maintenance agreement over the last few years, so we try to stay ahead of it.
I didn't know if you wanted the
Yeah,
paperwork.
I do, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Absolutely. So 2020. All right.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good night to you.
Good night.
Take good care of the
Go
sheep.
to, take a trip out to Cooper Lake now, okay?
Lots of great pictures.
Oh, man, we got some
This much money,
pictures.
Huh?
We need a picture.
Give the committee report so far. What? Give the committee report so far. Yeah, so far. That's the thing.
and that one's coming.
Ooh, look at this, wow, impressive.
Pictures.
They gotta give us more than that for that much money, but that's okay.
Does that mess you up? Does that? Yeah, it does. Never mind.
So request for approval for bond for Cooper Lake Dam and remediation, intake and remediation, which is a $7.2 million financial impact. Well, go ahead, Jerry.
Right, we were here twice before for parts of this. So this is the last, hopefully the last piece. Our design is at 90%, which means it's essentially complete with our engineering. This will be done in 3 phases. First of all, we've already come here for $800,000 for the preliminary design, the design work up to this point. The construction will actually be done in 3 phases. The first is that we came here last time and talked about the permanent component for the Ashokan connection. This is a temporary connection, but there's certain parts that are going to be put in the ground and stay there. One is the underground electric at the Ashokan end, and the other is a in-the-ground valve chamber to connect to our pipeline. So those 2 things have to be done. And then if you ever have to activate it, either at this project or a subsequent project, you would be able to just roll out the temporary, rolled pipe along the shoulder of the road and activate it. The second phase is actually the new intake and the piping associated with that. We're hoping that those 2 components will ultimately get some DWSRF funding, maybe some WIA grant money from the state. We have applications in, we're waiting to see. But ultimately, the last piece is the actual dam remediation. And so we think the whole project is going to be $15 million. The actual construction is 12. There's the operational cost, if we have to activate the Ashokan, is about 1.3, and that includes the cost of the water, and we hope we never have to do that, because we hope this project actually happens in a non-drought year. And then the last part is the engineering is $2.5 million, which sounds like a tremendous amount of money, but when you're going to reconstruct a dam, it's really important that everything gets done properly because of the downstream liability and just the fact that dams collapse if they're not built correctly. And so unlike a pipeline project where you might have your resident engineer come down once a week, every day that they're going to work on this project, the engineer is going to be present, and there's a cost associated with that. So that's why the engineering is more. Typically, engineering runs between 18 and 25% of the total project cost. This is coming in right at 20% because of the complexity of the work. So we're looking for the balance of $7.2 million in funding for this project for the actual portions that we haven't come before you before. Matt's been working with John on the timing of all this, since we really need to get, this is a 2-year construction project. We'd like to start this spring to take full advantage of this construction season. And so, when Matt's talking to John, we really needed to come before you now so that we could get approval, hopefully in January, and then he could start issuing, getting those bands out to us, as we needed them as construction started. So.
So this is phase 1. You said we've already done that, right, Judy?
No, you already approved the funding for that.
Phase 1.
Yeah, we haven't started any construction.
That's $800,000?
That's the design work.
That's the design work.
And then I was here in the midsummer, then June-ish or July, and we got $7 million approved. So now we're up to $7,800,000.
We knew this was coming, we just didn't know how much.
Exactly. We wanted to wait until,
I'm just trying to get in my glass here in case when we go to caucus, people start asking questions. So this project is divided into 3 phases. Phase 1, construction temporary interconnection with the Ashokan Reservoir. What have we allocated for that so far?
that portion is about a $1.4 million project. We've done some of the preliminary engineering, but the actual construction is, $1.3 million, and that's broken down. It's 1.4 total, it's 1.3 for the general contractor and about 100,000 for the electrical.
Okay. And then it says phase 2 construction of
That's-
water intake.
Yep, that's the intake piping, and between that is, That include, with the dam is probably a $9.7 million component, 9.8.
Million?
Yep, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then the dam remediation.
That's those two things, the numbers are, I have them combined.
These two, phase two,
I can break them
phase
out for
three.
you if it's important, we can certainly do
Phase two and
that.
phase three.
Yep,
All right.
together.
So I remember last time the water supply intake, that's the pipe that's, in case it comes down, is that what I was thinking
No,
of? What's the part that we had to put the pipe through or something, in case it was,
oh, that's the Shokan connection, I
okay,
think.
connection, yes, okay.
Right. Any water supply in Ulster County has the right to take water from the New York City system just by virtue of their permit to operate
So
under
that's
New York
That's
State.
in phase 2.
That's phase 1. Sorry.
Oh, the interconnect, phase 1.
Right.
All right, okay.
Our concern is, in order to do the intake work and the actual dam remediation, we have to drop the normal pool elevation down 10 feet. So we're starting this project in a drought condition. Kind of nerve-wracking if you're in my position or in Matt's position, but if we get a normal amount of rainfall during the construction season, we're okay.
Okay.
But if we don't, and we happen to hit it, and droughts happen, we can't, I haven't figured out how to predict them yet. We really need to be able to hook into the Ashokan to keep everything going.
All right. And what is this a map of?
Oh, this is just a rendering of what we think, of what this is going to look like. If you've ever been up to Cooper, this is all trees. This is going to be a nice gentle slope.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a picture, just to give you a sense of what it's
We
going to
went
look
out there.
like. You did, yes, we did.
That wasn't around, yeah. Okay.
So,
I would be able to break it down.
if you want, we can provide you this breakdown. I mean, I can do that, I can send that over.
That'd be nice.
And if you want, any assistance at the caucus, just let me know. We're here.
Yeah, we can get a copy of that.
Absolutely.
In case anybody has questions
Yep.
about this thing, yes, that would be good.
Yep.
That's some of my questions.
One of the things you see, obviously this has to be paid for by water rates. So what the board has begun is to raise the rates, so as to blunt the impact of a 20% rate increase all at once. This year, we really need 2% to balance our budget, but we're going to go with a 5% so we can kind of mute that impact, so we gradually bring it up, so we don't hit people in the head with it.
And as I recall in the hearing there, you equated that to, compared that to the monthly cost of a phone or something. I forget how you said it.
Most bills are, 20 units is about $100. Give or take. So over the course of, that's a quarter, your bill's going up 20%, $120 a quarter, maybe $80 a year. Most of us pay $200 for our cable a month. It's all relative.
Then how long do you think it takes to pay this off?
I think the capital part of it is a 40-year project in terms of amortizing the project on our balance sheet in terms of our assets, but John can't sell you only can sell a 20-year bond, so we'll have to pay it off over 20 years.
So the rates you're talking about raising, they're going to be permanent, basically.
Yes, but, we can also share with you the board we looked at. Matt provided a kind of pro forma, how many years take it, 10 years?
Yeah, I did 10 years out.
We figured a 2%, for the budget gap every year, and then figured out what the rate increases are, and they'll stabilize after a while, because we have the ability to initially, we have about $1 million in capital reserves right now for this project, and we'll be able to help fund some of that to keep things even, to balance it out a little bit. So we can be happy to share that with you.
Yeah, I'm just, $80 doesn't sound like a lot to some folks, but to people who are on a fixed income, it can be a big chunk out of there.
And that's what a typical family would pay, and you're right. I'd always argue that we're all on a fixed income, because if our bills go up, nobody gives us any more money. But you're talking about the average minimum bill payer, like the senior, yeah. Their bills are more like $50 a quarter, not $100. So it's all relative, and you're right. But it is going to get more expensive. There's no question about it, and it does raise issues. There's no question.
Other questions? The committee report reads for the Water Department, request for bonding authorization in the amount of $15 million to fund the Cooper Lake Dam and intake remediation project included within this authorization are previous ordinances. $800,000 for design back in February of 2018, and $7 million for phases 1 and 2 in September of this year. The additional authorization is related to phase 3, dam remediation, so the estimated financial impact is $7,200,000.
I just have one more question.
Sure.
I remember you saying, we're required to do this, or you guys, right?
Yeah, in 2009, they promulgated dam safety regulations, which said that you had to have a specialized engineering assessment of all dams in New York State. We're in compliance with that regulation, and any deficiencies that are noted, and these are not, it's not, when I say they noted deficiencies, that meant that the present conditions don't meet current design factors of safety if you were to design that dam today, and this one was designed in 1927.
Okay.
So, yeah, if we don't voluntarily keep going on this trajectory, we'll end up with an order on consent to do it anyway.
Are other municipalities going through this too?
Yes, they are. Troy's faced it. There's several others that, there's 530-something high and medium hazard dams in New York State that are water supplies. So there's lots of other people.
500 dams?
Sure.
And they're all going through the same remediation?
Some of them are not as expensive, some of them are more expensive, yeah. And the thing that is troubling to most of us is there's really no funding stream for dams on either the federal or the state level.
Damn.
Yeah.
So is there hope, I know you talked about this in the hearing, that there may be some funding that may become available down the road that can offset this?
For the water supply portion. And obviously the new intake structure, if you're gonna change the dam, you got the pipe that goes through it, you gotta redo that as well. So that portion is really drinking water related, so there may be an opportunity to get some funding through the Drinking Water Revolving Loan Fund or through WIA. And so we've...
What's your assessment of that probability happening now?
Yeah,
Since you spoke in the summer here.
I think that some portion of it with the DWSRF, which is a subsidized loan program that they have, might be successful, and who knows about the WIA grants. I have no way to gauge that. I mean, we've been successful in the past.
Yeah, well, one way or another, we have to do it.
Right, and this year I know there were a tremendous number of applications. The first time they announced the program, people were caught unawares, the time frame was short, so there were fewer applications. This time, everybody I know submitted an application. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. I just want to be the record that we have.
Is there a motion?
A motion.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You get the sewer charge, right?
We don't get any of that. Sewer charge,
Oh, I just seen your name.
It's water and sewer. This is just the re-levies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were looking at. I thought you were about to, I was like, if we got all the sewer revenues that we collect, we wouldn't even be talking to you.
Slow down.
Yeah, I know.
All right, while you're here then.
Yes.
That's what I said.
Let's go to the water and sewer and general tax bills.
800,000?
Yep.
852.
I think that's less than previous years.
Okay, request approval to re-levy all outstanding water and sewer charges onto the city's 2020 tax bills. Amount estimated at $852,390.13 as per attached.
So if I got this correct, this is outstanding balances, is that what this is?
There are people who haven't paid water and sewer bills for the first and second quarters of this year and the third and fourth of last year.
Seems like a lot, a lot. Does this happen every year? Or?
It does, and this might be a little less than last year, but it's about the same numbers. And I think if you look at they're the same people.
Yeah.
There's some people, they like to go over onto they pay it with their escrow, that's their choice. There's a lot of, we've done everything that we can in our department, I think, and John may have some suggestions, to make it easy for people to pay bills. So we take credit cards. No, we didn't do that, and so that's had an impact. I mean, if you're gonna pay 17% on your taxes, you might as well pay whatever your interest rate is on your credit card. And so we've tried to do everything we can. We'll take partial payments, whatever.
Do you usually recover it?
Yeah, John sends us a
Yeah,
check.
no, we make the water department whole, so
Yeah?
they're made whole.
Okay.
And if they don't pay their taxes, then you
Yeah.
sell their property.
Okay, is there a motion here?
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay.
You want anything?
Yeah, there is. Give me that back. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, thank you.
Can I just go back for a moment to the contingency transfer for the consultant for City Hall? I just want to clarify that really, that should be a 2020 transfer as well, because the purchase order will be issued at the beginning.
Again, 2020.
Yeah, I made a note. I just marked that 2020.
Okay, everybody all right with that?
Yeah, which one is that again?
For the consultant for the City Hall.
Okay.
We'll just make it a 2020 transfer because by the time it gets approved, it can't cover
Does it
2019
read
money
again?
after December 31st if you want to.
Just read it again.
Okay.
I'll put that on.
Okay. So, we're to you, John.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Request approval of 2020 budgetary transfer totaling $22,750 to fund City Hall HVAC consultant for attach. And everyone had voted yes. Okay. So that's fantastic. Okay.
Okay.
Here, you can have these back. I think you had this on top of this one.
All right. Capital, is that what we're talking about now?
The Beach Stadium.
Capital Reserve.
Capital Reserve, yeah, what are you,
Okay.
what are you talking about there?
So I sent everyone an email. I'll read the committee report. This will help explain it. Pursuant to paragraph 12 of the September 19th, 2019 intermunicipal agreement between the City of Kingston and the Kingston City School District regarding the management control of Deed Stadium. Hereby approve the establishment of a general fund capital reserve to be used for Deed Stadium improvements. The reserve will be funded by any remaining monies in the Deeds Commission bank accounts, plus or minus any adjustments for outstanding expenses and revenues paid or collected after the dissolution date of 10/31/19. So essentially, the agreement between the city and the school called for the remainders of what was held by the commission, and then any puts and takes after that related to operations that occurred prior to November 1st to be placed in a reserve on the city's books. And those monies will be used for capital improvements for the commission, or for the stadium. And then to use those monies, we would need council approval in the future. So. And I sent everyone a copy of the agreement. If everyone had a copy of the agreement before, you had previously authorized the mayor to sign it. So paragraph 12 of that agreement called for this capital reserve to be set up.
Okay, read it. Pursuant to paragraph 12 of the September 19, 2019 intermunicipal agreement between the City of Kingston and the Kingston City School District regarding the management and control of Deed Stadium, hereby approve the establishment of a general fund capital reserve to be used for Deed Stadium improvements. The reserve will be funded by any remaining monies in the Deeds Commission bank statements, plus or minus any adjustments for outstanding expenses and revenues paid or collected after the dissolution date of October 31st, 2019. So zero financial impact. Okay?
Yep.
Very all right? The motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think
Freaking students. Like 2 days after they start coughing, I got it.
That's it, right?
I think so.
Copy of the
Huh?
copy of the
Oh,
financial
wait,
update.
we're not, what about the, the parking?
Well, that's what I'm looking at right now.
There's a,
Yeah? I don't know if we, I know we, I don't know if we're doing a session or not, that's.
Dan told me to put on there, and it's not to be discussed openly. It has this person's medical information on it, so it's an executive session.
That's pretty, pretty session.
July 4th session.
Yeah.
Fireworks, guy got a parking ticket and drove his car, was disabled, and police.
Well, in the meantime, can I just pass this out? Yeah, here, I'll just pass this out, just.
All right.
I don't really have much of a financial update at this point. Things are still going strong with.
Brent.
Thank you. I can tell you from a cash flow standpoint, things are tightening up a little bit as we've used some fund balance.
Oh, now you're just taking without even asking.
You know what I want. Very, very needy.
You can have them all, Bernie.
No, just one, thanks.
They're all different.
They're all different?
Yeah, you gotta keep your eye on this guy.
These ones were handwritten.
Oh, okay.
So is this number ever gonna get down to zero?
No, not unless we start writing stuff off. The one thing I'll tell you though is that it's not growing as quickly anymore.
Uh-huh.
So that's been a good thing.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And just so you know, 2 parking permits are, for 2020 are up for sale, for the lots.
Oh, they're up, they get go on sale.
Yeah, we usually right around this time of year, get them up for sale. But
First come, first served basis, is that?
we don't limit how many.
Okay.
We don't limit.
All right.
We haven't had a capacity issue with so we haven't really had to put a number on it. At one point, that was topic of discussion, but
I guess you can talk about this until we decide, so we're gonna go.
sure. I'll just give you an update. Sales tax collections have been pretty strong. We're 6.26% over the prior year. Most of the same accounts have been tracking positive throughout the year, regular pay, part-time pay. Most of the utility accounts, the insurance accounts are still tracking positive. We're over on overtime pay, which is more than offset by the positive variance regular pay. Parking revenue is strong, building revenue is strong. I was just mentioning to Doug as an aside that cash flow is tightening up right now. It's that time of year until taxes come in, we get a little tight. We're a little tighter this year than we were last year. And as we've spent down some of the fund balance. We're seeing the impact of that. We just paid off the balance of the amortizations. That was on December 15th, but we just put the wire in this week. So we're now officially retirement system debt free.
Excellent.
Yeah, so the flip side of that is, using some of this cash to pay off some of the obligations. Cash flow gets a little bit tighter. I'll report to you if that becomes problematic, but you should be able to manage. But that is the flip side of the managing a fund balance, and you get down to the lower levels of emergency policy. It gets tighter. So we may want to look at that again in the future. That policy and see if we want to tweak it at all. Right now we call for that range of 10-13%, but we're still above 13. That's going to get tighter this year. So
Contingency is at
contingency is still the same amount. Yep.
I don't want to have an attorney-client session.
Yes.
Before you guys leave.
Yes.
All right. So if any has any questions about this stuff, then let me know.
Got it.
No, I mean, appreciate you. So overtime pay is a little high right now.
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much citywide.
But balanced, more than balanced by the
Well,
regular pay.
Yeah, regular pay, you know, that's, regular pay what's happened with a number of departments is they got so busy that when they've had vacancies between trying to advertise and solicit for replacement employees, and then in some cases, you don't have qualified candidates applying, it takes a while to fill these positions. In the meantime, you're paying overtime, but,
Okay.
and we're also seeing with which isn't really it's more of a fund balance issue, but our past due property taxes are going to grow from last year to this year, so I'm expecting that we're going to have a negative impact by that. And part of that is, you know, we're still sitting on properties that haven't been transferred over to land bank yet, so until that happens, we're going to see a negative impact financially. And then when we transfer over, we'll pick a lot of that back up. All right.
So we got to hold this meeting. No, we got to go ahead.
Kevin?
I'll just go into client,
Attorney.
attorney.
Kevin, we need a motion for the.
No, we just need everybody to step out.